Hi, welcome back. I am Abhishek. In this session, I am going to talk about how you can create a REST API inside the Spring Boot. We will take an example of student model where a student can have a name and email. We will do a CRUD operation out of that. So basically, we are going to build a REST API which will perform a CRUD operation. So what are the essentials thing in order to get the full out of this lesson? I require only a Spring framework knowledge. Basic knowledge is enough and you are good to go with this lesson. What we are going to cover in this lesson, so we are going to build a REST API using MySQL database. So all the data will store inside the MySQL database. We will fetch, delete and update, create all those things done against the MySQL database. You will learn how you can best way to create a controller, service and repository using different annotations. In order to communicate with database, we will use a Spring module called Spring Data JPM. We will also learn how you can perform a best way of handling the exception inside your REST API. At last, we will create a UI documentation, basically REST API documentation inside the Swagger UI. So let's stick to this lesson. If you doesn't understand any of the keywords here, please bear with me. We will see more details in the action. So let's see application demo inside the Postman. The application is running on 3001 port at this URL. So we will create a student which will save the data inside the MySQL. I have already defined name and email as a key value pair. So let's hit. You see, we got a response as a student created, and the object which is already been created in database, it as a response I got inside the response body, and the HTTP status is 201. So let's create another. I will take an example for Aryan and let's hit this. You see, earlier we got an ID 1, this time ID as a 2, and these are the value which is already been saved in the database. Let's open the database and see whether it is saved or not. You see, the two objects which we have performed recently, it came into the table as a student table. Let's do the fetch operation. So in order to fetch this detail, you can use the get all path. And you see, we got the two objects. If you want to take as a 1, so you can use get 1. So it will return you only one object. If you do 2, it will return you the second object. If you pass any random ID which is doesn't exist, which will give you the a proper message that student ID with 45 not found, and HTTP status code is 404. So this all detail which will cover in this lesson. Also we have a put. If you want to update anything, let's say in this email you want to update for ID 2, so for that you need to pass the ID here. There are a couple of way of doing this, but I choose this way of doing. Let's say I want to update as Aryan 1 as an email. We are updating for ID 2. Oh, I need to specify the route as update. You see, we got 201 student updated. So if we fetch now as a get all, we did for ID 2. You see the id2 which we have which recently we have updated as an email as earlier one, we can see here updated data. If you want to delete, let's take as a delete, and just you need to pass its id. Let's say you want to go with delete and give id test2, student deleted, and 202 accepted. If we fetch all now, you see inside the database we have already only one object now. Let me check in database also. You see we have already one object now. So this all thing you are going to learn in this lesson. So let's build the project from the scratch. So I have routed to the startspring.io. This is the one of the best place to create a Spring Boot project from the scratch. So here you need to define some attributes. This website will create a project for you. So let's define the attribute. So in the project, I'm going to select as a Maven, language is Java, and Spring Boot version 2.54 is a kind of stable one. So I'm sticking to that. So now I will define my group and the packages and the name. So for that I will stick to Spring Boot, and I will take as a REST API and demo project from the Spring Boot. I am going to use the Spring Boot. Java version I am taking as 11. You can choose as per your convenience. Most of the API I am going to use which is already available in Java 8. So you can choose either 11, 8 is up to you. And dependency side I am going to take as a web. The Spring Web enables us for the web development, including a web application and the REST API. You can see the definition here. Next I am going to choose a Lombok. Lombok is a very essential. It removes the boilerplate code when you are dealing with getter setter of your model and many other cases. Next I am going to check as a JPM. It is another Spring Data module which helps to communicate with the database. It uses a JPA and its implementation is Hibernate. So all those dependency you will get from Spring Data JPA module. So the next I am going to choose as a MySQL connector. I think for now I am good to start with. So let's hit the generate. It will generate the project and it will give you suggestion to download it. So let's download. I have already downloaded. Let me extract this project. It's already copy. You can keep it as per your location. Just going to keep here as, or let me select another location. Okay, so I have choose this folder. Let me take this and open in my IntelliJ. So let's choose here pom.xml file to open and open as a project. Okay, we're just doing the initial setup for our project. It's downloading the necessary dependencies. So if you are doing the first time, it may take little bit time in order to configure all the dependency which you have chosen. So in my case already most of the dependency is already in my system, so that's why took very minimal time. So whatever the dependency which you have defined inside the Spring starter, is Spring start this website which came here. You see, we choose the Spring Boot starter wave, MySQL connector, Lombok, and all those things, right? So let's start this application. So here in SRC, you will see it's the starter file. Let's run. So I'm just running. It may give some error. So let's see what's the error and then we will fix those. So it is first time it is starting, it's taking a little bit time. So we will see. Okay, Spring Boot banner. Okay. So application failed to start. It's saying that you have selected as a JPA and you have selected the dependency as MySQL connector. So for that, it's saying the URL attribute is missing. So you need to define in application.properties file. So this is the property file where you can define the different properties in terms of key and value pair. So I have already properties with me. I'm just copying and I will explain you. Just to save time, I have prepared this property file. So the first line, it is like a application path. Basically, we are going to create an API. So all the routes I am going to transfer, like let's say start with the /API route. This is the NC output. So these two are kind of optional. You can do or you can ignore also. So here is the Spring data source like MySQL, the URL. The first one is your MySQL, where the data base is. In my case, it is in my local host, which is here, right? And this is the database name. So in localhost, we are not going to SSL. That's why it's false. You need to define the MySQL username and password and the driver. These are the essential thing. So next, for the JPA, you need to define the dialect. If you are using a MySQL, so in my case, MySQL version is 8. So you can choose dialect based on your MySQL version. And this SQL query true means you can see the SQL query generated by the Hibernate inside the console. And this DDL auto means when table is not present, it will create for you. And I am configure my Tomcat port at 3001, right? And this is like, I don't want to see banner, that's why it's up. So this is the one-time setup which I have done. Now let's start this application and see what happens. Okay, as we have done couple of configuration. So like Spring Boot banner I have turned off, so that's why you are not seeing the Spring Boot banner. Now this time the console is little different. It's showing that 3001 at /API our application has been started. So if we will head out to localhost 3000 /API, so these routes are not present but /API is there. Okay, so this is not found, that's okay, but our application up and running. So the next step, we need to define the model. We have already configured the database, so let me reset this tables, let me delete this, and then we will define the entities, right? This is from earlier. So first and foremost thing, I need to create an entity folder, so which name as I will keep as a model. So for first, we are going to create an entity. So as a student entity, so name as student. Okay, and I will define some attribute, private int id, private string name, and next attribute, to keep it simple, I will take as an email. Okay, and this entity is your basically you are going to create a table called student, and it has a 3 field, id, name, and email, right? So next I am going to take as a timestamp field also. So let me see the demo first. Let's keep the entity, and when you define the entity, you need to define the primary key as well, so which I will keep as id. It will define the primary key. So it will define table as a student. So if you want to give another table name, you can use a table annotation from the JavaX persistence. For now I am good with the student. So let's test this and see whether it creates the table or not. So right now in my Java app, so you see there is no table, we have deleted earlier, right? Now application is running, 0 warning, 0. Okay, it's taking a couple of time, that's okay. Okay, so it started. So let's refresh. You see it created a table as a id, email, and name, right? So how it created? We have defined the entity and we have defined the class name as student, which is converted by the JPA to the table name as a student. Okay, now in this table we want to add few more columns, so that I will take as a timestamp fields, private timestamp, and it's from timestamp from java.sql as created at and private timestamp updated at, and I just want to restructure my column name. So if you have a special use case, you want to define a different column name in your database, just use the column annotation. So inside this you can define the column annotation, so sorry, column name. So you can, I just want to keep as created at, right? And this should be a default date and timestamp. So I will use a creation timestamp. This is from Hibernate. So what this will do, whenever you insert a database and insert any data, it will insert a current date and time inside the database. So let's take this and do same for, I just want to keep it updated at. And when you are dealing with the entity, it should have its getter and setter function, getter and setter. So I will use annotation call @data from Lambok. So if you are not using a Lambok, you just go and create a getter setter, like generate getters and setters, right? So this is kind of boilerplate code. I don't want to use this. So same, it will generated by a Lambok. So that's why we are using a Lambok. So like from the Lambok, I will use a data annotation. It will create all the getter setter, and I want a no args constructor as well. So when you are dealing with a entity class, it should have a no args constructor as well when you are doing a operation inside the database. So next I need a argument constructor, so which I will define using shortcut. I need this too, right? This is my constructor. So our model class has been ready. Next, we need to define the controller. So let's define new package as controller, and let's define a class called student controller. Student controller, right? So rest mark is a rest controller, right? So in a Spring MVC application, we do a controller notation. We don't do a rest controller. So what is the difference between controller and the rest controller? Inside the rest controller, it also comes as a extra notation called response body. So basically, when you are using a REST controller, it also consists of Spring response body into it, right? Now I just want to give as a request. I'll leave it for now. Let's test first. I will define one method called public Spring create student, right? Just for testing I'm creating, and just return this is student create route. Let's test this, annotated with get mapping, and define its path as a create, and this controller entry point will be /student. So basically, when you do localhost your port /API /student/create, this controller should invoke. So let's test this. Now I will delete this table as well because we have added few more columns. Let's test this now, and we will test this route as well. So this application is starting. You see, create a statement generated by Hibernate. Okay, so let's test this. So when you go to the /create, oh, my mistake. Our route is /student/create, right? So let's put it here and then do. You see, we got a 200, and this is the route. And also we have seen in the console the Hibernate query. You see, the table fields are already been created. Now the next step, we will create a service layer and the repositories. So first we will create a repository. Let's create a new package called repository. Okay, so here we will create a student repository, and we will use a JPA repository. So we will, oh, my mistake, we need to refactor as okay, let me delete and recreate. Actually we need an interface, not a class. So we'll choose as interface, and we want to use a repository called extend JPA repository. JPA repository, it is from JPA repository, and it should be have a domain class is our student, right? Here is our model. And the next, what is your data type, your primary key? In our case it is integer. So if you go to student, what is this? Okay, so our primary key data type is integer, so I am selecting integer. Now this JPA repository is very powerful. It has bunch of methods, it is extended, it also extend by a CRUD repository. So it has a bunch of built method which we are going to use in this lecture. So our repository is ready. Next we need to create a service layer. Let's create a package called service. So this service layer will talk to this repository. So if you are creating a repository, let's mark it a repository, right? So inside the service, we'll create a new class called student service. Okay. So let's mark it service, and this service layer will communicate to our controller. I need an dependency of repository. So I will take as a student repository private final student repository, and let's fix this. I will auto wire as a constructor injection student service, right? And this you can auto wire. You can do with field injection, but I prefer using constructor injection. Okay, so next thing we need to create, right? So we'll create all the service layer methods like create, read, update, and delete, all those things. So let's do first public, and I will return a student, create student, and I require a student as a student object. So let's do service dot save student, and it returns student, right? So let's return from here. This is done. Then I need an fetch all student. Fetch all student. So here I don't need any parameter, and it will be find all, right? Let's fix this. Yeah, basically it returns an all the students from the database. So it has a bunch of methods called save, find all. So the save and find all methods coming from this JPA repository, and JPA repository extends the CRUD repository. If you see here, the find all methods are there, which we are using in the service, right? So for now, let's create and one more method. I will use fetch one, and we will test this three method first, then we'll create another method. Let's use this student fetch. I will keep fetch student, and here you need to pass the int id, which I will use find by id, and specify the id here. Let's fix. Okay, it's giving. So let's use get now. Okay, so first we will wire these three methods into the controller and test, then we will create a further methods. So let's simplify this. Let's create, and first we need a dependency of service class private student, so, and I will take as a final student service, and let's implement as a constructor injection. What a wired, right? So it need an request body. So request body parameter, what it does, like you whatever the objects you are sending from the postman, let's say from here, you are sending this detail, right? This detail should be read by your application. Basically you are sending the body parameters, and this body parameter should read by your Spring Boot application. So for that we use a Spring annotation, and it should be type of student class, which is our entity class. Let's keep it student. Now from student service we have method call student service dot create student. Here you need to use a student, right? Let's extract into the local variable. Let's mark is saved student. Okay, next thing, now we need to return the response. Return, and for returning a response, in the demo you saw this HTTP status code also. While in responsibility you have a response plus status code. So for that we will use a response entity. So response entity is a class where you can bind your response body, including body plus header plus status code. And here into specify the type. So for our, let's take is object type. Okay, and from here we will keep as new class called response entity as object, and the first parameter I need to specify the student object, and HTTP status dot I need to give created, right? Let's, or we can cut this line here, don't need this extra variable, and we will keep as a student type for now. Later we will improve this. Okay, so our create is ready. Now we need to do the find all. So here we will keep find all, and it will be list of okay, same this thing you can copy here. So now let's call find. I don't need this thing, service dot fetch all student, right? And this method should be find, and here you give status code as okay. So this two route has been ready. We can test this application now. So let's stop and rerun. Our database has already ID created at email. Those fields are already there. Now let's wait for application to start, and we will test this two route first. Then we will move further. Okay, this application has been already started. So let's use this route. So our application is /API/student and this create, right? We don't need this ID. So I will use my name Abhishek and Abhishek, right? So this create route, it's going to hit this create, and it's from here it's going to hit the create student, which is in service layer, and from service it's going to call the student repository, which is in our repository layer, right? So from controller to service, service to repository. Let's test now. Let me refresh the database. So right now database is empty. Let's create first one. Okay, what's happening? Okay, method not now. Let me see what's happening now. Student slash create, all looks good. So I think I figured out issue. It will be post mapping. So let's save and rerun. Okay, our application is running. Let's test application now. You see, our ID has been created. So let's go to the DB. First refresh. Okay, ID as 0. So why it is coming? We need to define one strategy also. So when you are defining ID, you need to define the strategy how database is going to handle you with your primary key. So I will use an annotation called generated value. Here I will define a strategy as a generation type auto. Okay, so let me delete this table and rerun. Because what we have did here, we tell to the Hibernate that our strategy is, it's like auto increment, generation type is auto. So whenever you enter a new data inside the database, our primary key will increment by always by 1. So we have deleted that database, and now let's refresh. So we got another table called Hibernate sequence. So let's test now. So you see, we got a object with ID 1. So if I go to database and just refresh, you see the object what we have entered, it's 1, name and email. So from Postman we are passing only name and email. Other data like created at and updated at, it is inserting data the current timestamp which we have defined its definition here, the creation timestamp. It will do default current date and time. It will insert default date and time inside the database. Okay, so now let's test this the gate one. So what's happening? Okay, it's find all. Let's do that. Oh, in find all we don't need request body, my mistake. Just save and rerun. You see this object which we have inserted, it is here. Now let's insert the next object called Aryan. I will use an email called Aryan. So let's hit send button. So you see ID2. Now if we fetch all, so we will get a 2 objects. See, so when we are inserting, you see 201 we are getting, and while fetching we are getting 200. So how it is maintained? Using this HTTP status. So in the create we are passing HTTP status as a created, which is essentially a 201, and we are using a response entity class, where you can inside the response entity class you can send the body and the status and header also. So in this case we are not using header, we are leaving at a default one. So for now we have implemented the create and find all method. So let's quickly implement other methods. Let's see how you can do. We go to this service. Now let's implement the update method. So public student update student, and I require here student, and I don't want to be null, so which is, so I will use a none, not null, I guess. Okay, none. Okay, it's non null. Yeah. So here we will use a update. So first we will browse it. Okay. So let's fetch a student. Selected student. Here we will pass the student dot get id. Okay. If selected student equal to not null, then we'll do other thing as well. We'll see selected student dot get name should not be null. And let's take this here, and from here then dot set name, here we'll keep student dot get name, and next step we'll do set email. Okay, the last step we can do repository dot save. Right, and we will return student. Okay, so we're done with update. Now let's do with delete. I only require int id, which will be non-null. So here we will use a inbuilt method called delete by id. And it will return string, because this method doesn't return anything. So if you see, it returns a void. So we'll see student deleted. So let's see what we have done so far. So in update student, first we are fetching with its id using this method, and next we are checking if it is not null. So let me not null, then we are browsing and saving back. Let me add one more check. And guys, please, you can also refactor this code much better. I have just used like a basic one. There is a more scope to improve this method. You can do by your own. And the next we have defined the delete. So inside the JPA repository, we have a delete by ID. So inside the delete by ID, you just need to pass the ID, and after that we are returning student deleted. Now let's use this in controller. So let's create an update. So here we will keep as update student and change the route, change the mapping. Next we need a delete mapping. Let's name as delete, and here I will use an ID as a path variable. For that we will use a path variable and it should match with this ID. So let's use this. Delete student needs an ID and the status code will be accepted. Okay. And it will be string type. Keep it string type and you are good. Right, and one more method is like find one. Find one, it will be type of student, method will be find one. You don't need a list because it will return only one object. Fetch student, and it requires an ID as a path variable. So we will use as a we need a path variable and ID. That ID we will use here. Okay. So later we will modify its response body little bit furthermore. So now let's test this application. So earlier in database we had two objects. Now we will test the three method which we have defined now, right? So we will first test find one. Let me check it. What is the method name? Find one, and we need to define the ID. You see, we are getting. Now if we pass some random ID, so what will happen? It gives an internal server error. So we will replace this method and we will define the exceptional handling and we will define our custom message in the next step. So let's test the put, and here we'll use an update route and we want to name as shake1 aryan1 for ID 2. Let's define ID 2 here. Okay, let's do now. So for ID 2 we have updated. Let's see here with ID 2. You see the object is updated. Same we can check in DB also. You see, now if we want to update the ID 1, same exercise. Let's give a 1 and I just want to name is Abhishek1 and email as Abhishek1, right? So let's try now. You see, we are getting the object bug as updated and 201 and created date is coming as null. We will fix this. Now let's see the database. You see it's updated. Now let's test the delete quickly. So we will define the delete with 1. Let's delete the object 1 or 1, right? Yeah, see, student deleted and status code is accepted. So for 2 objects is deleted. Let me see, right? So we deleted with id 1 and we don't need this body anyway. We need just path variable. So you see deleted. If we want to delete it id 2, it's deleted. Now we refresh the database, it's deleted. So guys, this is how we have created the REST API. So the next step, we will define the exceptional handling, and we will fine tune the response body little bit further. So we will do these things in next video. So for now, we are leaving at the code at this state. So if you have any doubt, please let me know in a comment section. We will address there. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.